Good morning. So today's story is out of the book of Genesis, chapter 22, 1 through 19. Now, with this story, we're going to talk about Abraham and Isaac. And how God tested Abraham. Now, before we get into that, I want to ask you guys a quick question. How many of you guys like Legos? I do, and I did when I was a kid. I enjoyed building these big forts, and I would take my little men and then have them standing around the fort and then have battles with each other. Now, with this fort, it had to be very strong. It could not be very weak. The reason why it had to be strong is because it was going to battle. So why would you want a weak fort? You want something strong to withstand the hits. Now, when you build a building, you need a solid foundation, right? Do you start off with the weakest piece, like the smallest Lego, or do you start with the largest Lego? And you start small and then you build your way up. Now, why would you choose the largest Lego for your building? It's just like I said, you need a solid foundation to be strong. You need it first. And that's what this story is about. It's about what comes first in our life. How to stay strong in this crazy world. Now, let's get into the story. So, one day, Abraham and Isaac were sitting around, and God called to Abraham. And Abraham answered. He said, "Here I am." And let's dive a little bit more into this. God said to Abraham, "Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will show you." Now, when I first heard that, I thought, did I read this right? Did did God just say, "Take your son and go sacrifice him"? But you should not stop there. God has a reason for everything he says and he instructs us to do. Let's keep reading. The next morning, Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey and took two of his servants with him, along with his son. Isaac. Then he chopped wood for a fire, for a burnt offering, and set it out for a place God had told him about. Now, on the third day of their journey, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. "Stay here with the donkey," Abraham told his servants. "The boy and I will travel a little farther." Isaac had no idea what was going to happen. But he and his father were very close. So they went a little bit further while the servants stayed. "We will worship there and then we will come right back." Abraham said this to his servants. So Abraham placed the wood on the burnt on the altar to be burnt. Let me back up. He actually placed the wood on Isaac's shoulders so they can go and worship. While he himself, Abraham, carried the knife and the fire. As the two of them walked on together, Isaac turned to Abraham and said, "Father?" Abraham replied, "Yes, my son." Isaac said, "We have the fire and the wood, but where's the sheep for the burnt offering?" "God will provide the sheep for the burnt offering, my son." You hear that? God provides what we need. And they both walked on together. Now, when they arrived at the place where God had told him to go, Abraham built the altar and arranged the wood on it. Now, I'll save the rest for you to continue for yourself to read. But let's talk about what happened. And I'm going to get through this fairly quick. You see, Abraham had placed Isaac on the altar to be sacrificed to God, just as God instructed Abraham to do. Probably thinking to yourself, like, what is Abraham thinking? Like, is he serious? Does he really want to do this? But Abraham, he trusted God. And you're probably wondering, like, what is going through Isaac's mind? Is he panicking? Is he confused? I like to think Isaac trusted his dad. Through this whole situation, this whole time, Isaac trusted and loved his dad. Now, right then, when Abraham was about to sacrifice Isaac, an angel appeared. And he said, "Abraham, stop. Stop what you are doing." Then he untied Isaac and he got off the altar. Now, why did the angel stop Abraham from sacrificing Isaac? What did I say at the beginning of the story? It was a test. A test of Abraham's faith. God wanted to make sure that Abraham put God first in his life. God knows, and he knew how much Abraham loved his son Isaac. But we must love God first. See, I like to try to live my life this way. God first, my family, then everything else. It's not easy. It's certainly not. Remember, like I mentioned with the Legos? And to have a strong fort? Think of that fort as your spirit. We must need that strongest piece. And that strongest piece is God. If we place God first through everything, and I know it's not easy, but if we ask God for help and to remind us that he comes first, everything will take care of itself. I learned a lot from this story. And I'm still learning today. Well, I hope you guys sit down with your families and take the time to continue reading and talking about this. Because it's very important in our life to place God above all else. Well, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your Sunday. And I hope to see you again. And the next story I will have ready for you guys. But I hope you enjoyed, and hope your family and you guys can sit there and talk about it and keep God in your hearts. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.